the boy from Minas Gerais who became the world's greatest ever footballer. In a career spanning 3 decades, Pelé was the face of football worldwide. A hero of Brazil and an icon around the world, through sheer skill, grace, and charisma, he was football's first modern superstar. Pelé made football look easy. He turned the sport he loved into a work of art, and the world stopped whenever the ball was at his feet.
I don't think they make them like that anymore. Truly a great.
In his death, football has lost its king, and the world has lost a legend. But his presence will forever be felt, and his influence will always be seen on and off the pitch. Without Pelé, there would be no beautiful game.
It wouldn't exist, and it wouldn't exist, especially at this level, without Pelé. He made it real.
He was the king of the game. Undoubtedly one of the greatest athletes of all time, Pelé changed the game of football forever. From humble beginnings playing on the streets of Brazil to decades of success at the top of his game, Pelé's electrifying play and penchant for spectacular goals made him a star worldwide.
Even if the media world was not so global when he played, I've been traveling the world, and everywhere I go, you see a photo of Pelé.
His unique style combined speed, creativity, and technical skill with physical power, stamina, and athleticism. For nearly 20 years, he was the player who made a difference every time he played for his club or country, with a tendency to score when it mattered the most. His ability to dribble past players with ease, using skill, pace, and style, made Pelé a nightmare to play against, but a dream to watch. Around the world, he was both feared and revered, and after being globally named the King, Pelé transcended his status as a Brazilian legend. He was footballing royalty. But this king wasn't born to rule. He was born to play football. Edson Arantes do Nascimento, the boy who would become Pelé, was born on the 23rd of October 1940 in Três Corações, a municipality in the south of Minas Gerais, Brazil. Named after the American inventor Thomas Edison, Pelé was the firstborn of João Ramos do Nascimento and Celeste Arantes. He had 2 younger siblings, his sister Maria and his brother Jair. His father, João, was a professional footballer known as Don Dino. Although he would never make it to the top leagues after suffering a severe injury, he inspired his son to play. As a boy, Pelé grew up in poverty in Bauru, near Sao Paulo. At the time, the social hierarchy in Brazil was rigid, and few of those born on the lower end of the chain could navigate their way to the top. Some of the rare few who could climb the social ladder were athletes who gained fame and status due to their athletic ability. Pelé took it upon himself to help financially support his family by shining shoes. But his dream was always to follow in his father's footsteps, and it was on the football field that Pelé would find his true talent. It wasn't long before his gift was impossible to ignore. Pelé's father had taught him how to play football from a young age, although they couldn't afford to buy a proper football. Instead, the young footballer had developed his talent on the streets of Barra, kicking anything he could get his hands on. Using socks stuffed with newspaper and grapefruits, Pelé's introduction to football was rooted in poverty, but ultimately began his journey into stardom. As a boy, he played for several local amateur teams and continually impressed youth coaches throughout his childhood and early teenage years. When he was 14, Pelé was scouted by Valdemar Gebrito, a former Brazilian footballer who coached a local youth team. The former player brought the teenage Pelé into his team, the Bauru Atlético Club Juniors, and quickly made him captain. He became one of the most important players for the team, leading them to 2 Sao Paulo State Youth Championships. His teenage footballing experience was supplemented with futsal. Often described as a quicker and more technical game, Pelé credited futsal with being one of the most important aspects of his footballing development. It's a lot quicker than football on grass. You have to think really quickly because everyone is close to each other. Learning the game probably helped me think on my feet better. It was through futsal that I first got my chance to play with adults. I was about 14, and I can remember that there was a tournament which I was told I was too young to take part. I ended up top scorer with 14 or 15 goals. That gave me a lot of confidence. I knew then not to be afraid of whatever might come. After impressing on both the indoor and outdoor pitches, De Brito eventually convinced Pelé's family to let the budding phenomenon leave home and try out for the Santos Professional Soccer Club when he was 15. If successful, Pelé had the chance to help pull his family out of the lower levels of Brazil's social hierarchy system and change their lives forever. Convinced of his phenomenal talent, in 1956, De Brito took Pelé to Santos, an industrial in Port City near Sao Paulo, to try out for the professional club Santos FC. On arrival, De Brito told directors at Santos that the 15-year-old would be the greatest football player in the world. Within minutes of his trial, the young sensation impressed Santos's head coach Lula. He agreed with De Brito's assessment and offered to sign Pelé to the team. In June 1956, Pelé signed for the Santos FC and was promoted across the local media as a future superstar of the club. 3 months later, the teenager made his senior debut against local rivals, Corinthians, in an impressive 7-1 victory. His senior debut was bookmarked by his first competitive goal for the club, the first of over 600 goals he would go on to score in his long career at Santos. For the next year, the name Pelé slowly became increasingly synonymous with footballing greatness.
Edson Arantes do Nascimento. Very few people know who is Edson Arantes do Nascimento. But I say, you know Pelé? Then everybody all over the world, they know Pelé.
The origin of Pelé's nickname has forever been in dispute. Even the man himself isn't totally sure where it came from.
8 years old, 7, 8 years old, I was playing in the street. The kids call me Pelé because I did some mistake. I don't know why, what the reason, and nobody knows the reason. Then I say, listen, my name is not Pelé. My name is Ed, so don't call me Pelé, this ugly name. Then everybody started to call me Pelé to tease me.
Initially as a boy, he was nicknamed Dico by his family, a name his mother referred to him as for the rest of his life. During his school days, however, it's theorized that he received the nickname Pelé due to his mispronunciation of his favorite footballer's name, Pelé. I can remember the name really bugged me at first. I was really proud that I was named after Thomas Edison and wanted to be called Edson. I thought Pelé sounded horrible. It was a rubbish name. Edson sounded so much more serious and important. On one occasion, I punched a classmate because of it and earned a 2-day suspension. This, predictably, did not have the desired effect. Other kids realized it annoyed me, and so they started calling me Pelé even more. His mispronunciation and a classmate's joke led to the young Edson becoming known as Pelé, a name that would be chanted in stadiums worldwide for the next 80 years. When the 1957 season started, Pelé was given a starting place in the first team. Over the course of the season, the teenager became the top scorer in the league. What was clear, even at such a young age, was Pelé's remarkable fluidity on the pitch, his speed and quickness amplifying his peerless ball-handling abilities. The teenage wonder's performance for his club, with 41 goals in 38 appearances, rightly caught the attention of the Brazilian national team.
I have a luck because with 16 years old, I play with the Brazil national team in Maracanã against Argentina. Then I got a little more experience because I stayed 8 months with Santos from 16 to 17 to get 17. I play with Santos, I play some games with the Brazil team, and then I went to Sweden.
The world was officially introduced to Pelé in the 1958 World Cup in Sweden. It was a record-breaking tournament for the young Brazilian superstar. Although initially injured, Pelé made his World Cup debut during the final group stage match against the USSR. At the time, he was the youngest player to participate in the World Cup. Against France in the semi-final, Pelé scored a hat trick, becoming the youngest player in World Cup history to do so.
Cruzamento, mergulhou, largou Pelé lá dentro! Fez o passe do Pelé, furou, voltou, Pelé emendou lá dentro! Empurrou na frente pro Pelé lá dentro!
After securing his team a place in the final, Pelé became the youngest player to play in a World Cup final match. And of course, the teenager lit up the final, scoring 2 goals as Brazil beat Sweden 5-2 in Stockholm. At 17, Pelé had won the most sought-after trophy in world football, and he did it in style.
The first World Cup, I was 17 years old. Then I was selected to go with the national team to go to Sweden. And then everybody's thinking, my God, you was difficult for you, you are very young, but I say, I swear, it was like a dream. It was not difficult. I just wanted to be in the team.
Play, to be yourself.
I went to play, then I have a luck.
the team went home to national acclaim, and Pelé resumed playing for Santos. With nothing but talent to guide him, the boy from Minas Gerais became a global sporting superstar and a source of genuine uplift and inspiration for people across Brazil. As part of his military service, he also played for 2 army teams. In 1959 alone, he endured a relentless schedule of 103 competitive matches. 9 times he played 2 games within 24 hours. Owing to his standout performance in the 1958 World Cup and his continued success for Santos over the following season, the young Pelé was subsequently inundated with offers to jump ship from Santos to a variety of European clubs. Real Madrid, Juventus, and Manchester United tried to sign the young Brazilian following the tournament. Inter Milan even managed to get him a regular contract, but were forced to tear it up at the request of Santos's chairman following a revolt by Santos's fans. In response to the attempted poaching from Europe, the Brazilian government passed a resolution declaring him a non-exportable national treasure, making any potential departure legally tricky. Pelé entered the 1962 World Cup with an aura around him. By now, thanks to his ever-growing goal record and skill set, the 21-year-old was the best-rated player in the world. An injury put the Brazilian out of the rest of the tournament. Still, the team went on to win, beating Czechoslovakia in the final and becoming the first in history to retain a football World Cup title. At the time, only players who appeared in the final were eligible for a medal before FIFA regulations were changed in 1978 to include the entire squad, with Pelé receiving his winner's medal retroactively in 2007. After the 1962 World Cup, Pelé continued to excel for his club team Santos. Consistently a top scorer, he often faced teams who altered their play specifically to deal with the threat he posed, constantly ensuring 2 or 3 players were always marking him. Despite this, he still scored 60 goals in the 1964 season and 101 goals in 1965. Owing to his standout performance in the previous tournament and his illustrious form for Santos, Pelé was still regarded as the best player in the world when England hosted the World Cup in 1966. However, for Brazilian fans, the World Cup was marked after Pelé was targeted by rival teams trying to stop him in his tracks. He was brutally kicked in the first game against Bulgaria and was finally sidelined during the 3rd group stage match by a Portuguese player's tackle. With Pelé essentially absent, Brazil was eliminated after losing to Portugal. After the tournament, the 26-year-old was so disheartened that he announced he would retire from the national team. By 1969, with the World Cup looming, fans held their breath after the superstar initially declined a call-up to the national squad. Rumors slowly emerged that Pelé was close to hanging up his boots and leaving football while he was at the top. With 2 World Cups, nearly 30 domestic trophies, countless individual awards, and hundreds of goals, he'd already lived the ultimate footballer's dream. For football fans in Brazil and across the world, the idea of a World Cup without Pelé, who had been their main source of entertainment for the past decade, was unthinkable. Luckily, after reconsidering his original decision, Pelé would give his fans one more opportunity to see him play at the 1970 World Cup in Mexico.
Last World Cup in 17 in Mexico, after 35 years, that was difficult to me. That was difficult because I already was the former player. I decided to retire, and in this World Cup, then I started to say, oh my God, I don't want to lose the World Cup because I'm gonna retire. The medal is the same, because the 3 medals is the same, but the ambition, the moment was completely different.
The Brazil squad selected for the 1970 tournament is often considered the greatest football team in history. The team's route to the final saw them averaging more than 3 goals per game. Yoga Bonito was in full flow as the Brazilians eased past every opponent in their way.
Yes, there it is! That is the touch of a master! Pelé!
Yeah, when we talk about the beautiful game, that was a joke we used to say for the reporter. No, we played the beautiful game. Santos, Brazil always played the beautiful game. The European team, they play too hard. It's not a beautiful game.
All to say it, but giving away a 2-goal advantage can only happen once in the 1970 World Cup, and we know who did that. I don't think Brazil are going to do it here.
Against a strong England team, thanks partly to the heroic goalkeeping of England goalkeeper Gordon Banks, the Brazilians only managed to score 1 goal.
He always says to me when he comes over here, he says, I travel all over the world, he says, and people talk about the goals that I scored, he says, but when I come to England, all they talk about is that save that you made to me.
I had the ball. I already jumped to say go. Then I looked there. I did go.
Pelé and his team still won, knocking out the previous World Cup champions. Brazil faced Italy in the final at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City in what turned out to be Pelé's last competitive appearance for his country. Pelé scored the first goal in the final in what was Brazil's 100th World Cup goal. He rose above the tall Italian defender to head the ball into the back of the net. His leap of joy into the arms of teammate Jairzinho to celebrate is regarded as one of the most iconic moments in World Cup history. The team went on to win 4-1 and lift yet another World Cup. After being directly responsible for over half the goals his team scored during the World Cup, Pelé was awarded the Golden Ball as the player of the tournament. Soon after winning his 3rd and final World Cup, Pelé retired from international football. He played his last match on the 18th of July, 1971 against Yugoslavia in Rio de Janeiro. Nearly 140,000 fans packed into the Maracanã to watch the King play for Brazil one final time. After the 1974 season, his 19th with Santos, Pelé retired from Brazilian club football, although he occasionally played for Santos in official competitive matches. Pelé had long said he would only ever play for Santos, so for many, his retirement announcement felt like the end of a wonderful era in footballing history. A year later, Pelé came out of retirement to sign with the New York Cosmos for the 1975 season. Although he had long said he would only ever play for Santos, he couldn't resist answering the call from the New York Cosmos in 1975.
Everybody knows I went to the United States to promote soccer there. I played 20 years with my team Santos. Then when I retired, I went to the United States to promote the soccer. And then New York has become well-known all over the world. And today, you know, for me, I am very, very honored to that. The best pastime in the United States today is the football, soccer. This means a lot for me, you know.
Henry A. Kissinger, the United States Secretary of State at the time, had written to the Brazilian government asking it to release Pelé to play in the United States to help promote soccer and Brazil in America. Playing in America represented a significant step down in terms of the level of play that Pelé was accustomed to. However, the league benefited greatly from him as an ambassador of the game, and ticket sales soared. The American public, largely unfamiliar with the game, began to take notice. Much like his impact on football in Brazil, Pelé was the catalyst that changed soccer in America forever.
Okay, well, it's an Arantes do Nascimento. It's good to see you. Did I say it right?
My pleasure. It's very nice to be here with you.
This, of course, is the immortal, truly immortal in this sport, Pelé. Pelé, what did you think of the first half?
I like the way Cosmo play. You know, it's very hard to play against a team who play all back.
Pelé opened the door for many other stars to play in North America. Over the next few years, other world-famous players, including Johan Cruyff, Eusebio, Bobby Moore, George Best, and Gordon Banks followed the Brazilian to the American League.
America has shown in the past that for great players like Pelé and Beckenbauer, George Best, it can be a very attractive last chapter of a footballer's career. Gazza's going there, and I'm sure they're looking forward to seeing him, and he'll be very much a part of their next generation of footballer.
Pelé led the Cosmos to a championship before retiring for good, an event marked by an exhibition match between his adoptive New York team and Santos. The game was played in front of a sold-out crowd at the Giant Stadium and was televised worldwide. Pelé played the first half with the Cosmos and the second with Santos. The game ended with the Cosmos winning 2-1, with Pelé scoring a 30-yard free kick for the Cosmos in what was the final goal of his career. During the second half, it started to rain, prompting a Brazilian newspaper to come out with the headline the following day, "Even the sky was crying." Pelé retired from football after the exhibition match. His legacy was firmly intact as arguably the finest practitioner of the beautiful game. By this time, he had amassed a series of extraordinary records, with 1,283 goals to his name, including 92 hat tricks and a trilogy of World Cups. The Brazilian holds the record for the most career goals and World Cup wins in football history. Retirement did little to diminish the public profile of Pelé, who remained a popular pitchman and active in many professional arenas. The Brazilian legend ventured into the movie business, appearing in the 1981 movie Escape to Victory as Corporal Luis Fernandez alongside Michael Caine, Sylvester Stallone, and Max von Sydow. The film, set during the Second World War, tells the story of Allied prisoners of war who play an exhibition football match against a German team. Pelé also ventured into public service in 1995 when he was appointed Brazil's Minister for Sport by then-President Fernando Henrique Cardoso. Pelé began a crusade to bring accountability to the business operations of Brazil's professional teams, which were still mainly run as gentlemen's clubs, and to reform rules governing players' contracts. In 1997, Pelé was awarded an honorary knighthood by Queen Elizabeth II.
He still causes a stir wherever he goes. The greatest footballing legend of all time can't call himself Sir Pelé because he's a foreign national, but he was clearly proud of the gong he received from the Queen. It was partly for his work with children, here at a project at Chelsea combining homework and football. He's now Minister for Sport in Brazil and showed diplomatic footwork when asked about England in the World Cup.
England, play very well. They have a good coach now, change your style, qualify very well. But in this tournament, it's very hard to say who's gonna win because it's a tough tournament. I wish Brazil be in the final.
He wrote best-selling books about his life, both on and off the pitch, outlining his rise to the top of the footballing world.
Good to see you. Welcome to Britain. Tell us about the book. Is it more about football or more about you?
It's about my life. I did a lot of book. We talk everything,
In December 2000, Pelé and Maradona shared the FIFA Player of the Century Award. The award was initially intended to be based upon votes in a web poll, but after it became apparent that it favored Diego Maradona, FIFA then appointed a Family of Football committee of FIFA members to decide the winner of the award. The committee chose Pelé. Since Maradona was winning the internet poll, it was decided that the two would share the award.
Well, I think that it could be a dead heat wherever you look. It depends on your era. I suppose you're brought up and it was Pelé or Maradona. That's the issue, isn't it? And of course, the arguments can go on and on and on. I think probably they are the two greatest players, and I think the one you would maybe put in amongst it would be Di Stefano. If you look at both careers, World Cup winners, played in great teams, both played for their country at 17 years of age. It tells you even before they became famous what they thought of them, the identification of them as young kids. It's a very difficult one. Pelé was involved in 3 World Cup winning teams, wasn't he? Although he was injured in the '62 final, and didn't play in that, he got injured. And he was injured in the '66 World Cup. Maradona and Pelé were different in some ways. Maradona had a fantastic close control of driving the ball at defenders' feet. I always thought that was his greatest strength. He always put the bait out to the defender to try and tackle him. It was fantastic how he did that. And then Pelé's header in the World Cup final against Italy, how he suspends himself in the air and gets the header down. Fantastic. And Pelé scored, his first game for Brazil, he scored a hat-trick, didn't he? He scored a hat-trick in his first game in Sweden. Scored a goal in the semi-final, scored 2 in the final, didn't he? Yeah, 2 in the final, 1 in the semi-final, didn't he, against Wales.
For all of his post-playing career, Pelé continued to be involved with football as much as possible, acting as a custodian for the game and traveling worldwide to help promote different clubs, cups, and tournaments.
I'm gonna make a statement here. This is the only cup I didn't have in my house. Can I take that home?
Just here, please, gentlemen. Just here, please, fellas. Thank you.
He's a very genuine, warm and wonderful person. It's a pity he can't sign for us today as a player, but apparently he damaged his ligaments, never when playing at top level, but when he was teaching his kids last week, he tripped up and sort of damaged his knee ligament, so he's limping a wee bit. I reckon he could still get in the squad, but maybe not start or play the full 90 minutes. So we are all delighted at Sheffield United to have Pelé with us. He's an ambassador for the world of sport, and an ambassador in particular for the world of football. So, as I said to him over lunch, once a blade, always a blade.
In 2013, he was awarded the FIFA Ballon d'Or Prix d'Honneur in recognition of his career and achievements. The most notable area of Pelé's later life was his ambassadorial work. Retirement saw the footballing legend go on to campaign for a variety of causes, including poverty reduction, anti-corruption movements, and environmental protection. Pelé auctioned more than 1,600 items from a collection he accumulated over decades and raised £3.6 million for charity.
All finished then in the room against the wall there at 2,000. Got 264, what wonders again. This autograph venue, got 264, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 220, 240, 260, 270.
Illness dictated much of Pelé's final years as the Brazilian legend battled various health issues. Still determined to attend public events and meet fans, the fragility of Pelé became more and more evident. In September 2021, Pelé had surgery to remove a cancerous colon tumor and began chemotherapy soon after. On the 3rd of December 2022, Pelé was hospitalized at the Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo. 4 days later, he told his social media followers, "I want to keep everyone calm and positive. I'm strong, with a lot of hope. I have a lot of faith in God. Thank you so much for everything." On the 29th of December, 2022, Pelé died in Sao Paulo after a short battle with colon cancer. A 3-day period of national mourning was announced, a tribute fit for a king. Across the world, people celebrated the extraordinary life of Pelé. In Santos, Pelé's coffin, draped in the flags of Brazil and Santos FC, lay in state at the Vila Belmiro Stadium. Nearly 250,000 fans queued to pay their respects to Pelé, a manifestation of the legacy he created. Fans lined the streets of the city where his storied career began to bid the legend farewell as his casket was moved from the stadium to his final resting place. Many in attendance wore the yellow and green number 10 Brazilian jerseys and the black and white Santos Football Club jersey, which Pelé wore during his career. Pelé was buried at Memorial Necropele, Ecumênica, the world's tallest vertical cemetery, overlooking the stadium where he became an icon.
It's important that children in 20 years, in 50 years, in 100 years from now, they remember who Pelé was. He was the first in many things. And we need to remember him in a field, in a stadium where goals are being scored, where emotions are being felt, because that's exactly the skill that Pelé had as a gift of God.
Wherever football is played, the name Pelé will be synonymous with it. For many, Pelé's accomplishments on the football pitch will never be equaled, and virtually all great footballers will be measured against the Brazilian who made the world stop whenever the ball was at his feet. Today, we remember Pelé as the man who changed football and Brazil forever.